welcome back to the season. And folks, let me tell you, whenever you schedule out these things, you just hope the results of the games are interesting. You hope there's a compelling season, and you can't plan it out. Like, you could bring somebody on and they could have horrible games and blowouts or a terrible record that you just don't know. And let me tell you, we got lucky because the first week has been so fascinating to watch Oconomowoc games. And their first game of the season, they take down the number 5 team in D2. If you're listening from Illinois, D2 is a higher school than lower. In overtime, in one of the most bizarre, wild finishes I've seen in a long time. So, Jay, you had that Tuesday, and then Wednesday you lost at the very end by 2. So you just went on a massive roller coaster. How are you feeling, and what are you telling your team?
Yeah, great question. And, like I mentioned to you earlier, it started on Monday for us really because we had practice Monday getting ready for Tuesday. One of our 6'5" sophomores who we had penciled into our starting lineup and is a really good player. About 20 minutes to go in practice, he just, went up to dunk a ball and he came down funny on his leg and, just something wasn't right. He couldn't bend it or extend it, straighten it out all the way, and unfortunately, he had to go get an MRI, and we're waiting on some results on that. But so we're playing a man down there that way right away going into Tuesday, and I couldn't be more proud of the way that my guys responded, knowing that and coming out ready to go on Tuesday and being locked in with what we needed to do. And we just talk a lot about, we control the things we can control, and obviously that was out of our control. What happened to Leighton, our sophomore, and then next man up, right? I mean, like, okay, somebody else is going to get an opportunity now, and it actually ended up being our other 6'5" sophomore that came in and jumped in the starting lineup and had a really just solid game. His stat line wouldn't stick out to you, but he did all the little things that you needed to win a basketball game for us. And along with the rest of the guys, everybody that had a chance to come in came in with great energy, played hard, was scrappy. And I think the biggest thing that I saw out of our guys and I'm really excited about is they just believe they can win as a young inexperienced varsity group. They believe they can win against good teams, and that sometimes is hard because high school kids tend to read too much in the social media and see, oh, that team's this or that team's going to be a tough game or whatever. And it just it appeared on Tuesday, playing Catholic Memorial, that was like, no, like, we can beat these guys. We can, like, show up ready to go. Let's make them have to, make the right plays to beat us. And I think that went a long way. And unfortunately, 6 minutes into the game for Catholic Memorial, their best player went down with a knee injury as well. And we're certainly thinking of him right now. And I know he sounds like he's going to bounce back and be able to return this year. It's not season ending, and so I just he's a returning first team all conference kid in our league, and you never like to see that, and definitely want them to be at full strength. But even without him, they returned two or three other kids that were mentioned in all conference last year as sophomores that they can really shoot it. Three kids that shoot up around 40% from the 3-point line last year as sophomores, and we're playing a 2-3 zone the whole game and most of the game anyway, and we're just like, man, don't let anybody get hot right now. But our guys did a really nice job contesting the 3-point line, and making their shots hard. And we got those three guys to go 8 of 36 from the 3-point line, and we rebounded decently and gave ourselves a chance. And in the end of the thing, we found a way in overtime to kind of take control and finish it. So like I said, that's such a huge confidence builder for our group right away out of the gates. And it's a conference game, so we put ourselves on top and have a shot to try to keep ourselves there tonight.
We're going to go through, I made notes throughout the game, and I have questions I'm going to ask you. So less of me talking, more of you. But in the spirit of full transparency, Jay, I was expecting to log on to the score center and go, all right, how close did they keep it? Not did they win. So when I saw that, I was thrilled because I was thinking to myself, man, I don't want to like bum Jay out of doing a podcast after a loss. And this is why you play the games right here. Because if it's up for analytics or expert picks, then this would never happen. So now your team has confidence, and both teams lost somebody. There's a psychological component of losing somebody and how do you bounce back? And then you play the night after, and there's another psychological component to bouncing back. So there's so many lessons involved in this whole entire process, and you are in week one, which is crazy. So my first question for you is this. We talked about you putting in a new offense, a pick and roll based offense, and the first play of the game is a successful pick, roll, ball gets bounced straight to the roller, wide open layup. Does that feel good to know like right away what we've been working on works?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we worked on it through the summer and even early in the season here at the scrimmage, things like that, and it just things weren't syncing up the way we wanted it to, and we had to kind of after our scrimmage as a staff sit down and go, hey, we need to simplify this for our kids. We just need to give them less options and give them more concrete things like that we're looking for, and we did that. We were able to kind of take a little bit more of the thinking and guesswork out of it and just say, hey, here's where you need to throw the ball when this happens. And when this happens, we want you looking for these two opportunities, and to our guys' credit, they've bought into it and they've been, really developing some chemistry, between our bigs looking high low and our guards finding times to make their plays, whether it be a reject the ball screen and attack the rim or making the extra pass to a shooter. And like I said, I think for our young guys, it's taken like they're not overthinking it. They're able to just play now and not have to think too much, and that's helped us a ton because they're good players. You know what I mean? And it's like if they're not thinking too much, varsity basketball moves way too fast. If you're overthinking, you're a step behind. And so in this case, we looked fairly crisp. I mean, we still had some turnovers against pressure we had to clean up, and once you watch the first half. Once we settled in a little bit and stopped trying to force some passes against pressure, we were able to handle the ball. We cut our turnovers way down in the second half, and honestly, I think that was the difference in the game. We just didn't turn it over a ton down the stretch, and we didn't always make the right play or finish right around the hoop, but we didn't give them anything easy going back the other way. We made them have to work for it in the half court against our defense, and that really ended up being kind of the recipe to knocking off a really good team.
Speaking of, this is not going to be a secret, so I'm not giving the next team anything. You ran a 2-3 the bulk of the entire game. What went into that thought process? Because, as a coach, I didn't get to see your games much, but I know that in your heart, I think you want to play man defense. And so what went into it? And also, how did you get Coach Fisher to agree to not run man as well?
Hey, that's a great question. And I will tell you, for those of you that don't know me, I grew up playing only man. I played for my dad in high school, and we did not play zone, hardly at all. Maybe a 1-3-1 possession or two here or there. In college, I played for a coach that was like hardcore man defense. Like you got up and played, and we had a really good man defense in college when I was playing and coaching at that level. And in 19 years, the last 18, I couldn't do zone. We've tried, like, hey, let's play possession of this or that. I'm like, nope, we're staying man. I can't do it. We're not. I didn't trust it. You know what I mean? But honestly, where this came from is in the fall, Marquette University's coach Shaka Smart does these kind of coaches clinics, virtual coaches clinics, where he brings in guys that he's connected to, whether it be other college coaches, NBA guys, players, whoever it might be. He does two of them every October, and he sends links out to high school coaches in our area and college coaches and just people that might be interested. And one of them he had this fall was Joe Gallo, the head coach from Merrimack College. And they're out just north of Boston, and they just transitioned to D1. I think they're in maybe their fifth year in Division One now, and they exclusively play 2-3, and it's an aggressive attacking 2-3 where they're active and they're moving, and they bring their wings up and just kind of play a different, a little bit different, more aggressive 2-3. It's not your, fifth grade girls standing there with their hands up in spots, that sort of thing. So I watched it, and I sent it out to my coaches, and I just said, hey, what do you think? Our personnel kind of what they're showing, what I saw in this Zoom call, like it fits the kids we have. Like we have some new guys that we're really gonna have to hammer man with to get them up to speed to be ready to defend in the man to man at the varsity level. And I don't know that we're there yet. And I said, this might give us a chance early on to hang in against some teams and be active and create some turnovers. And we have some quick guards that are really aggressive, and we have some big long wings and middle guys that can play this. And the more we started looking at it, we just said, let's go for it. We're going to have to adjust as we go, and teams are going to, throw some different things at us that we'll, as coaches, have to really be good with. But, that's kind of how we got to it. And then as we started rolling it out a little bit, it's like the kids really have been good in it and buying in. And yeah, we make some mistakes here and there, like you do in man or any defense, but they're all correctable. They're things that we've been watching a lot of film with the kids on and going, all right, right here, you didn't get to the spot quick enough, or you didn't communicate. You didn't talk to your teammate and say, "Hey, this guy's here. You got to pick him up." And those little nuggets as we get better at this. Again, like you said, we're only in week one. We're only going to get better and tougher and be able to move and create some issues for teams that way. And like Coach Gallo said in that Zoom call, he said, this is our number one defense. And a lot of times for other teams, that's their second or third best offense going against our number one defense. Because a lot of teams, their zone offense isn't their best offense. It's not what they work on the most. So that resonated with me too, as well. Just, and I think that carries true for high school a lot. I mean, I think about how much time we spend working on zone offense, and it's like not a ton unless we know a team's coming up that plays it. Then we might spend a day or two on it, and then we're back to working our man. And so this really, has been something that we feel can early in the season while we're working on developing our man principles and getting better at that. It's allowing us to be aggressive on defense and create some chaos a little bit on the court.
Hey, you're speaking to the choir here, man. I'm zone guy through and through. And you're kind of you spoke my language though, because one of the reasons I started going to more zone, like 3-2s and hard pressure 3-2, soft pressure 3-2, 2-3 soft, 2-3 hard, was because I realized when I was coaching, I'm not practicing against 3-2 much. I'd play a team that ran it, and I'd go, man, like we got to teach that this week. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I could be that team every week that when people have to play, they're like, all right, we got to play Bigfoot. We got to practice against man, full court, this zone, that zone. And we got it down in year 5. I think we got it down to every dead ball as a switch defense. Because now the other team has to think every single possession. All right, what are they in? Where do we go? What do we do? And it takes a long time. People think if you just threw a zone out there, it probably wasn't good. So people think they can just throw a zone out there. You can't. You need to practice it and develop it just like you would a man defense. My next question is, I felt like watching the game because you have a young team. There was a lot of like I would say reckless drive. So you drive and you just bury your head in like 3 people. Some coaches like that though because hey, you're getting to the rim. You're being aggressive. Did you have any thoughts on are you pro that as they're young and as it's like hey, you're being aggressive, or are you like hey guys, we gotta be careful about driving headfirst into the lane?
Yeah, and we we really talk a lot about, we don't want them finishing through two guys, through two defenders. If you can get there and it's one on one, you can put your shoulder into them or get the advantage and go finish great. We prefer if they get there and there's a second defender, try to get to 2 feet. Pivot, find that open teammate. You got two guys. You did your job. You got two guys on you now. Find your open teammate. Let's make the defense pay for having to spend two guys on one. And that's a hard thing for young guys to figure out because they get so deep sometimes into the lane that it's like I got to go finish now. I got to make this play, and sometimes that's not always the right play, and they get a little tunnel vision. And it's like, okay, keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes out, peripheral, like find that open teammate. And then for our other guys, like talk to your teammate. You see him driving, your guy just went to help, like call for the ball, like make it easy for him to know where you're at on the court. And it's something that we'll continue to work on. We do have some guards that are pretty quick and aggressive that can get by and finish strong at the rim, and we certainly encourage that. But yeah, just eliminating maybe those opportunities to turn over or not have like a high percentage shot when you're going up two defenders against one. That's what we're trying to really avoid in those situations. But sometimes you got to live with it, right? I mean, sometimes you just know, like, okay, that as a coach, you're holding your breath, like, no, 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 and then it's like, oh yeah, that good play, man. Like that was the right one. So
I
it's just
think it's
hard.
a
It's give and
I
take.
think it's a good mistake and if there's such thing, because I'd rather rein you in and get you less aggressive than try to figure out how to get you aggressive.
Yep.
So to me, I'm watching that going, I have no qualms with it. I'm sure they're going to fix some of it, but these young kids are being aggressive. Like they were attacking the rim, and I give them a lot of credit. Your guys were not afraid to go straight to the rim. They were hitting bodies, they were getting chipped, blocked, all that stuff, football terms. And I thought, to me, it's probably like a coaching moment where you go, all right, this is what we don't want to do, but good job. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
The second half, they amped up the pressure and they went to a zone press and they did a lot of trapping. How do you feel you guys handled it? Is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah, I mean that's something we talked about at halftime. I just said if we can figure out how to deal with their pressure and get out of those traps, cleanly with find the guy with a crisp pass and get out of them, we're gonna have chances to finish on the back end behind them. We got the advantage if you can just deal with it and get through it. And I thought the one thing we did a better job of in the second half than the first half, they were doing a bunch of run and jump there in the first half. Second half, we did better at shortening passes. So our guy that was being trapped didn't have to try to throw such a long pass out of it, and then cutting behind that trap. So like if my guy goes and traps, I'm gonna cut right behind it and leave that middle like for a quick pass right away. And then our bigs did a better job of coming to the ball, flashing to the ball with their hands up and giving a target, calling for it. And I think, like I said, by us not turning the ball over out of those traps as much in the second half, it allowed us to gain a little bit of confidence and get some easy transition baskets and deal with it. But eventually, I think us dealing with their pressure, they got out of it. I mean, you saw if you watch the last 6-7 minutes of that game, they didn't trap as much anymore. They started backing out. Now, the other thing for those of you that didn't see the game, obviously, we also got I think 7 or 8 fouls on them by like the 12 or 13 minute mark of the second half. Like they were hacking early and we were in bonus for the last 12 minutes of the half. So they had to back their pressure off, which allowed us to run our half court offense and be effective because they weren't trying to put us on the free throw line for the whole second half. And, fortunately we did get to the line a fair amount down the stretch and we hit our free throws, but it was one of those things where it was kind of two parts. I mean, the officials making the calls, and we got them in foul trouble, and then we also dealt with their pressure pretty well, and we're tougher with the ball and dealing with that body contact and the reaching and not turning it over. I thought that was huge for again a young inexperienced varsity group. We only got 3 guys out of 14 that return any varsity experience this year. So, and I think we played 10 guys the other night. So, you're looking at who's on the floor, and it's like, okay, well that guy. I even said to him at halftime, I said, guys, we got white uniforms on, and I can't see our shorts turning brown here. So let's settle down a little bit here because we're getting pressured, and some of you guys look like you're scared. So like we had to talk about just like calm down, relax. Like we do drills in practice where you're trapped and have to pass out of it. Like think of it that way. If they want to hack and reach, then rip and be strong. Like take their hands off and draw that foul, and our guys responded and we're certainly coachable and did the things we were asking them in the second half. So
I never ran a man press, and people would be like, "Why can't you run a press?" And I'd go, "I only have 6 guys that can play. That's it. I can't get in foul trouble. I can't." So it's something I was always cognizant of. And I thought that the most important play in your entire game was sometime in the second half. They're pressing and you turn it over once, and then you turn it over a second time, and they're kind of on a little run. And you have someone get back, set up, take a charge, and that negates a double turnover 4 point swing. That is a big deal. I don't know if whoever took that charge realizes that that action probably, in my opinion, saved the game because I think momentum's going to go through the roof. Then now they're like, oh, now we got them. Now we've scored twice on a trap. They're afraid. That's a big deal. Did you notice that?
yeah, and honestly, the kid that took it, it was his second charge taken of the game, and that one specifically was I thought awesome because again, he's a sophomore guard and he slides over and just walls straight up, like puts his hands straight up, puts his chest out. He's a step or two in front of the rim, and the kid literally jumped and put his knee right in his chest, and he didn't even go down. It was one of those where he just hands were back, chest was up, and he took it and kind of like came back a little bit, which again, a lot of refs, they don't call that unless you fall down. Like for whatever reason, like he had the spot, he beat him there, and he walled up, and the kid was out of control and ran into him, and I told the ref when he came by, I said that's a heck of a call because I know he didn't go down on that, and I know that's what you guys typically look for. Visually you see it and it's like obvious. And I said he was there, he had the spot, and I said we work on that all the time. And so I said I'm so happy you called that because it gives me, credibility now when we talk in practice. Like you just need to wall up and show your chest and do your job, and this kid did. And again, second charge of the game. And we talk about those energy plays being such game changers, and that was one of them where he's a fiery kid too. So he got it and was like, let's go, and like it kind of woke everybody else up again and said, all right, like now let's get back into this.
A charge to me is the defensive dunk. On offense, if a player dunks, it feels a momentum change, an energy boost. A charge does that too, and anyone can do it. You don't have to be 6'5". You guys found yourself down 52-42 with 6 minutes left. What are you thinking? Are you thinking, I've got to change something up? I've got to get a rotation different. We might be losing grip of this thing. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, certainly with as good as they are, and knowing how good they are, my thought was we have to cut back into this right now. Like, how can we manufacture just a bucket right on this possession where we're down 10 and not get a bad possession or not have an empty possession where now they're going to come down and maybe get another hoop and start pushing it out the other way. And that was such a critical moment, really, that when we're down 10 there, and I believe we end up getting an open three off an inside out where we got a touch inside to one of our posts and they collapsed and we kicked it out and hit a three, and then immediately got a turnover coming back down the next possession, and then got a breakaway layup off a turnover out top on their guard. So it goes from being a 10-point game to a 5-point game where you know as well as I do, if that goes from 10 to 15 with the group I have, we probably look at it and go, man, like, okay, what are we going to do now? Like we're down 15 with 5 to go against a team that's pretty good and an excellent free throw shooting team. So we can't just be putting them on the line. And,
Yeah.
and so that was such a crucial moment for us to start cutting into that lead and again, getting them back on their heels a little bit, and going back to the zone. I think that helped a ton because they weren't getting clean shots ever. Like I said, they were 8 of 40 from the 3-point line. They were starting to get tired, and they were shooting contested threes from behind the line quite a ways because they're like, okay, we can't get it where we want it, so our best shooters are just going to shoot long threes right now, and that really helped us a ton, getting them to take some of those tougher 3-point shots.
Whenever it got to about a minute, we'll call 3 minutes left. It's a tie game. And I don't want to disparage a young man, so people make mistakes, and you get a technical, which that's the worst time to get a technical is in that moment. What, as a coach, if you're giving advice to someone who's new, young, looking for advice, how do you handle that? Are you, because the game's on the line, are you yanking them out? Are you talking to them after? Are you going like, dude, you are killing us? Like, how do you handle that conversation?
Well, I mean, the same kid that you just praised for taking the charge is
Is
the
that
kid
the
who
same
got the
one?
technical. Like I said, he's a little fiery sometimes. So he put his shoulder into the guy's chest and finished strong at the rim through contact and got a huge bucket to tie the game. And he, for whatever reason, he wanted to let that guy know that he just finished on him, and that's kind of what the ref said. He goes, had he not done it in the wide open court running back, like, basically like whatever he was saying, the ref didn't even know what he said. I asked him, I said, what, can you tell me what he said? And he goes, but he was directed right at him. I said, did you read his lips, or did he swear at him, or can you help me? Because I'm trying to figure out if I should pull him right now or like bench him for the rest of the game. And he goes, no, it was just, he was clearly directing it at one of their guys. And for us, we pull a guy immediately. So he came out, and I just put my arm around him and grabbed him and said, hey, that was a heck of a play. But look at the situation right now. Like, you're now giving them two more points back that you just got. You're giving it right back to them. And now we're fighting again to try to, have a chance to win this thing down the stretch. And I said, I love the enthusiasm and the toughness that you showed and everything else, but you've got to control yourself. Like this has got to be a moment where you control yourself. And to me, it was such a teachable moment for a sophomore kid, that first varsity game ever, and first time new to our school this year, to be honest with you. And like, there's just in front, he was jacked up. He was amped up in front of the crowd, and so for us to pull him out, and it did two things. It calmed him back down and allowed him to refocus, and we were able to sit him for a minute or two here and then bring him back to finish things, which was great for us. And it also taught him a lesson where I had a chance personally to grab him and just like put my arm around him and go, come on, we need better out of you, and you need to help us finish right now. Winning plays, not, that sort of thing. And then just saying to him, hey, next play now. That one's over. We're done with that. Like when you go back in, it's time to move on to the next play and like help us finish this and get a win. So it was a really great moment with that kid, and he's been great the first couple games here for us, and we just need to keep teaching lessons, keep growing.
The problem with watching online is you have no context. So you see the game stop and you see a technical, and I was like, I didn't see anything. So I
Yeah.
rewind. I don't see anything again. I was like, what did I miss? So you feel that that doesn't sound so bad, but also don't leave room for assumption,
Yep.
and that sort of thing. So I said the game was a crazy ending, and I'm not kidding. So let me just get some notes here. Tied 58-58 with 45 seconds left. You guys are struggling to get the ball up. The balls kind of get fumbled around. You throw it back in. I think there was a turnover or some sort of possession change where they get the ball. There's 18 seconds left. You foul. There's a technical on them. You make one free throw. Turns out there's a double tech because I'm trying to follow through the computer screen, and they make both free throws. You guys made one on the foul that was called on the tech. So we have free throw, technicals, free throw. What is, will you walk me through what's going through your mind during the last 45 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, it starts in the first half. We each team got a delay game call in the first half where there was a foul call, and each of our players at some point in the first half shot a 3-pointer after the whistle blew, and it was, I guess, egregious enough that that we shot it too late after the foul call that they gave us a delay game. So we each had one under our belt, and it's a warning in Wisconsin if you do that, if you either chuck the ball out of bounds or you shoot after the fact. Refs have it's under their discretion to give it a delay game if they think it caused them to have to go get the ball or slowed things up. So again, we each had a warning for that, and so that's where this final like 10 seconds comes into play in the second half. Is that we only had we had 5 team fouls at the time when they had the ball coming up the floor, and it was I believe we were up maybe 1 point at the time. I think we were up maybe one, or tied. It could have been tied. I'm not sure exactly the score there,
I
but
think it was tied because your free throw put you up one.
right. But yeah, you're right. So essentially during the timeout, we just said, hey, we're gonna go man here, and we're gonna make them throw it in backcourt, take a little bit of time, run some time down here, and we want to foul. We want to reach and take that foul. We have one to give, right? So we do, and we go back, and it's right around the backcourt, half court area, and we take a reaching foul, and clear obvious, like kid grabs him, gets a reach. It's the way you would teach it, to take a foul. And their kid takes like 2 dribbles, like one step over half court, and launches a half court shot. And it literally hits nothing and rolls like, you know, 20 feet behind the backboard. And so they immediately blow the whistle, and it's their second delay game. And so it's a technical on them. So we're going to go to the line and get 2. And so our guy goes to the line, hits 1 of 2. Now we get the ball side out because, again, they weren't in bonus, so they have no free throws to shoot. It's a technical. So we get the ball back here. It's a crazy change of like possession, for us, because it's a tight game, and now we have the ball and we're up 1. And so what happens is we take it out on the side and get it in, and there's about 10 seconds left, and our kid takes 2 dribbles and gets fouled top of the 3-point line, and then continues to take one more dribble and shoots a layup. And so he got fouled at, like I said, just outside of 3, takes an extra couple dribbles, shoots the layup, grabs the ball of the net and hands it to the official, thinking like, okay, I got fouled, I'm going to the line. Well, their bench goes nuts because they just got a delay game for shooting after the whistle. And the refs get together, talk it over, and they go, yep, he shot after the whistle. We're going to give him a delay game. So what happens? Like, this kid goes to the line. Same kid that shot the technical fouls, by the way, is the same kid that's going to the line again. And again, he hits one of two, puts us up 2 points. But now we're going to the other end with 10 seconds left, and they're going to shoot 2 free throws and get the ball out of bounds on the side. And so they go hit both their free throws, tie it up at 60, I believe, or 60. Yeah, 60, I think it was. And then they're taking it out on the side. And fortunately, we get them to take a crazy, shot at the buzzer that doesn't come close. And we grab the rebound and go to overtime. And it's
I
just one
have
of those
I have
things.
I have two things for you before we close with overtime. Um, I'm glad you cleared that up because watching that with no volume was so confusing because I was looking, I couldn't see any signs of a technical, and all of a sudden you're shooting free throws and all of a sudden they're shooting. I would have never thought to think you shot a layup after a call, and
Right.
that's why there was free. I thought maybe there was a double technical. They were confused. You threw it in. They're like, wait, the other team gets to shoot now. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
I mean, I had a huge issue with it in the fact that, like, the true definition of delay a game is that you slow the game up or make the game delayed, right? Like, because of something you did. To shoot a layup and grab the ball and hand it to the official doesn't seem like you're delaying the game at all. They still are going over to the table to make the call. You didn't slow anything up. And so, I had a chance, and I knew it's a really good officiating crew, to be honest with all of you. Like, they're awesome, and we've had them many times. But I had to ask them, after the game, I ran into one of them in the hallway as they were heading out, and I just said, hey, talk me through that for a second. And basically just said, yeah, probably because of the moment that they had just called one on them, that's more of the reason why they did it. But they said, you're probably right. Like, it shouldn't have been a delay game on your guy. And I'm like, yeah, I was wondering because he didn't delay the game. So it's just one of those, like, hey, roll on, like, keep playing, right? Play through it. So next
That's one
one.
of those things where when you win, you're laughing it off. When you lose, you are just livid.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, and I only bring this part up because you won. I wouldn't bring this up if you didn't. Your guy caught their miss with 2 seconds left and threw up a full court heave. Did you
Yep.
talk to them about maybe getting a few dribbles?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just didn't know how much, he didn't look at the clock. He just thought, oh man, he knew kind of generally the time in his head. And he's like, oh, I maybe got a shot at this. Let's just chuck it up there. But it hit the ceiling, so it didn't really matter anyway. It
I
wasn't on
was
target,
la-
right? I mean,
I was laughing because I think the
yeah,
ball hit the floor before the clock hit zero.
yeah, yeah. It certainly did. So, like I
But it
said,
was
there's a lot to learn
strong.
every
Like
game.
we're laughing, but I'm laughing. But it's a young group who just went through the craziest last 3 minutes you could, and you won in overtime. Well, and that to me shows a lot, honestly, that they're like, you would think freshmen, sophomores, maybe first time juniors during those moments would just get so discombobulated and so upset that they wouldn't finish strong. So that shows a lot of resolve. And maybe talk about that as we close here with how overtime went altogether.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, and I think young coaches, I would challenge you on this to watch coaching styles. Like, if you go watch games, or whether it's college, high school, pro, whatever, but watch different coaching styles because everybody has their own way of doing things. And for me, I had the benefit of coaching college basketball for 4 years, and the guy that I worked for, Wayne Wagner at Viterbo, he let me do all of our recruiting. So there was many nights as a single, guy just out of college. I'm on the road, like, watching a high school game one night here, and then I'm here the next night, and I'm just watching some of these guys and how their demeanor is and how their players react to them. And I made a decision at that point. I watched a guy, his name was Steve Blank, a longtime coach at Holman High School up in the La Crosse area. I just loved how Coach Blank handled his players and how they took on kind of his demeanor. When times were tough and that, or things got crazy, he stayed calm. He talked to his players in a calm voice. He brought them in the huddle, and they looked him in the eye, and they were locked in with him. And I just loved how he did that. And over the last 18 years, I've tried to be that same guy where, hey, it doesn't matter how crazy that ending was. Like, we're going to overtime. Sit down, lock in. Let's start fast in overtime and try to get a lead here and see if we can't, put our foot on their throat and finish this thing. And like literally in the tone I'm talking right now is about how I said it to our guys. It wasn't, standing over them screaming or anything like that. I'm kneeled down. I'm like, get your eyes on me now and let's talk about what we need to do to finish. Like, we're right here against a really good team. How are we going to finish this thing? And at each one of those guys, I could see like they're nodding their heads as I'm talking and they're acknowledging. And I'm like, we got this thing. I think we got it. Like I just had a feeling with the way that we were locked in coming off that crazy ending that, this was a group that was ready to go finish 4 minutes in overtime and they did.
In overtime, you won by, I think it was 8. What's the last message you gave to the guys in the locker room?
Yeah. Honestly, the last one was, enjoy the win, but we need to turn the page. We got a game tomorrow, and get home and get some sleep and get your feet up and get some water in you and take care of your bodies right now because we're bouncing back tomorrow trying to get hopefully win number 2 is what our goal was, but certainly I wanted to celebrate this one with them too because it's one of those feelings like, man, we worked our butt off. We put so much work in the last 2 weeks of practice to get ready for this first game and to have our game, the first game canceled. And now we're playing, it was just one of those moments where it was just like, hey, let's enjoy this for 10 minutes together in the locker room and celebrate it and feel good and pump each other up a little bit. And then, as we were leaving, like, take care of yourselves. Let's move on now, but
You guys had what we would have called a water game. So in my 5 years at Bigfoot, what happened was is if there was a crazy big win, not just any win, but maybe a buzzer beater or an upset or just a gritty win, and you just knew the feeling. You saw the boys grab the water bottles from the bench on their way back in, and I just smile and I'd go, I'm about to get soaked. And I'd walk in the locker room and they would go crazy, throwing water everywhere. And it'd be like, and we'd walk back out for like the news press conference and the kids would say out of their parents. And the parents knew at this point a few years in and they just watch and laugh and you could hear the water squeak in our shoes. And I think it's really important for kids to not go business as usual. We're not done. I think it's important to smile and let them celebrate a win. Now, to the extent you do it is, I think, up to the discretion. I think you can't go crazy every time. But I do know, I've heard of stories where they're like, all right, business as usual, next game. It's like, they're 15, 16. Like, can they
right.
enjoy this? Can they at least, can you clap? Can you do something for them? What
Well,
like,
you want them to want to have that feeling again, and it's like, they get excited to earn that right to have that feeling after a
yeah.
game. And I think, sometimes, with any, like you said, high school kids celebrate it because it's such a great feeling, not just for us as adults who put a ton of time in, but you got to remember they're putting a ton of time in too. And it's a lot of hard work, whether it's, off season or, in the weight room or whatever it is. And it culminates into these games where it's like, man, we just played a great game against a really good team and got it. Like,
Yeah.
let's let out that breath and like and feel good about it for a little while and just be excited. And like I said, back to work the next day. Like, enjoy it tonight, but let's come back tomorrow now ready to move on. So
Yeah, I always brought a second pair of clothes to every game because I never knew if it was going to be a water game or not. And I had to have a full change of outfits because the first time you ride a bus and 30 degrees with your whole outfit wet, you'll never do that again.
yep.
but
Yep.
any closing up here, good news on my end this week. My book got agreed to a deal with a publisher. So I'm really excited about that. I think it'll be about a 4-month process once we get going here. It should be on Amazon and man, probably April or May. And I wrote it, Jay, so it could be for any sport. I really made sure to not be a basketball coach's book. And the unique twist, someone asked me today, I love Bible studies where you're sitting around with a group of guys and there's questions. And because you learn more from the people's responses sometimes than the actual content, and it creates like a conversation. So I created this book in that same light. So after a chapter, it's like application questions to talk with your staff or even think about yourself. Because there's not really anything like that for coaches. Books to go through together versus by yourself is, in my opinion, a big win to do with your staff and kind of learn together. So that's coming out soon. And where's it win and who's your next game?
We play tonight. You know, it's December 5th here, Friday, December 5th. We play tonight against McGuanago here at home, and it's youth night. So, you know, always one of my favorites. Like, we get all the little future raccoons out in the bleachers and introduce them at halftime, and they get loud, and their parents are. It's a good crowd, you know. So it'll be a nice atmosphere tonight, and a chance for our guys to hopefully, you know, go 1-0 tonight and stay on top of the conference and keep ourselves up there, you know, through the end of this week. And then next week we'll start over again and another 3 games next week. So
Let's
we're on the
go.
NBA schedule right now.
Let's go. Hey, this was an awesome conversation. Congrats. Seriously, I know you don't want to rest on one win, but getting that early with a young group is so important for them to see what a win looks like. So I'm happy for you, man. If you're listening, we appreciate you. We'll see you next week.